Welcome back. My name is Dr. Carl Baird, and today I'll be guiding you through a 12-minute hip mobility routine for lower back pain. The routine is going to entail 3 simple movements repeated twice on both sides. So if you're somebody that's been struggling with lower back pain, this is going to be a great routine to improve the range of motion of your hips, to take pressure and limit impact that goes through your spine. So to get started, we're going to start in a lunge position. So we're going to have one knee on the ground, the other out in front of us. And what we're going to do is start to stretch our hip flexors here. And so to do that, all we're going to do is bend forward over this front leg, keeping our trunk nice and upright. We want to feel the stretch on the front side of this back leg. So for the first 30 seconds of this, we're just going to ease ourselves into the position. So you move forward till you feel that stretch, come back, and then move into it again, trying to go a little bit further. Come back. And then this one, we're going to really go as far as we can, and we're going to hold. And so if you're feeling a good stretch on the front, you can stay here. If you want, you can do a little extension with the hands. You can bend over to the left, get a little bit more stretch on the entire outside of the body. But what we're really focusing on is our hips right here. And again, holding that. You can squeeze your glutes. That's going to pull your pelvis into that right position to get even more of a stretch on your hip flexors. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. Put our right foot forward. So now we're stretching the hip flexor on the left side. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to spend the first 30 seconds easing into that position. You want to feel the stretch on the front side of your back leg. So my left leg currently. And come back out. Pay attention to how each side feels. So I can already tell my left side is actually a lot tighter. It doesn't take me quite as long to get and really feel that pull and stretch on my left side. Not right or wrong, it's just good. The more you know about your body, the better. All right, we're going to come in one more time, and this time we're going to hold it. So we're going to hold this position, really go as far as you can. Again, you can add a little bit more by bending backwards. This time you can bend to the right, holding that hip extension. You can squeeze the glutes. That'll get you a little bit more pull in the front. For 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. Next, we're going to stretch our groin muscles and our hamstring muscles. So for this one, we're still going to be on our knee, but we're going to have one foot out. We want this foot flat on the ground. And so from there, all we're going to do is simply keep your spine nice and straight and sink your hips back towards your heel. So as you sink back, you should feel a stretch on the inside of the leg, or maybe a little bit more towards the back in that hamstring. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to ease our way into it. So we don't want to just hammer away and go as far as we can on that first rep. Just ease yourself into it. Good. And then on this last one, we're going to hold. So it's really important that we keep this foot down. And again, we really want to feel it here. And try to keep your spine as straight as you can. You don't want to round forward like that. That's going to take some of the tension off. And you're going to hold it for 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. So now we're going to switch sides. Put our opposite foot out, my right foot, and then we're going to do the same thing where we're just going to ease ourselves into that position. So just shifting those hips back towards the heel, keeping this leg straight, keeping this foot down. Coming back out of it, ease up the tension just a little bit. And back in. A little bit further each time. Good. On this last one, we're going to hold. So try to get those hips as far back to the heel as you can. And again, we're stretching the groin muscle inside of the hip here. Remember, that hip is big ball and socket joint. There's a lot of different range of motion. So when we're stretching and mobilizing, we're trying to hit all these ranges of motion. And you'll probably feel tighter one direction more than the other, but it's good to hit them all. Good. Okay. Next, we're just going to do a simple pigeon pose. So to get into that position, we're going to start in a high plank. You can send your hips back. You're going to take your right leg and come under. Now the key here, to get a little extra stretch, don't take your knee out too far to this right hand. Really try to get it right in the center of your right hands. And you're just going to sink into this position. So we're going to start in this pigeon pose. Now you want to try to get your shin almost perpendicular to your hands. You'll notice I actually have very tight hips. I'm not very good at this pigeon pose, which means it's a good exercise for me to do, but it means I'm a bad demonstrator for this one as well. And so what you can start to do is you can move into a sleeping or lower pigeon here. Again, really just finding the best position where you feel the best stretch. This one is just going to be a static hold, really taking that hip into that external rotation, and we're just holding it for a minute. Yeah, 10 more seconds before we move to the other side. Good. All right, we'll curl that back toe. Come back onto our hands. You can bring this leg back again if you want to. That's an intense stretch, so you can kind of shake it out before you bring it down. Move into the left side. So remember, we want to bring that knee into the middle of our hands. Don't move it to the left hand too much. Starting in the tall pigeon, finding what's comfortable. Again, you can focus on trying to bring your shin so it's really perpendicular with the hands. I'm not the best demonstrator of that because I have tight hips as well, which is why I love this routine. All right. Once you feel comfortable, you want a little extra stretch, you can come down into the lower sleeping pigeon. And this one's just a hold. It doesn't have that easing into it component, the biphasic stretching part. Nice work. What we got? 10 more seconds. Just finding that stretch again. You can try to bring your foot up a bit more. And good. Come back onto our hands. Bring this foot back. Shake it out. Nice work. So now all we're going to do is we're going to go through that movement again. I'll show you a couple different variations to add a little extra stretch, but we're just going to move through those exercises. So let's start with our lunge stretch to stretch the hip flexors here. So a nice variation of this one is going to come into this lunge and then shift the hips back and bring the arms down. You'll get a stretch on this front hamstring here. If that's too much, you can just do the typical lunge stretch that we did in round one, just whatever's comfortable. You should start to notice that maybe you're a little looser than that round one. You can get a little extra range of motion, which is why I always like to go through this routine twice. So you can always get that extra range of motion to really improve hip mobility here. Good. If you're doing this cat-cow lunge, you just hold it for a second or two in each position. Slow and controlled. You don't want to get going too fast. Good. And then we're going to switch. So we're going to bring our right foot, move into that lunge position. Again, you want to feel the stretch on the front side of this back leg. And shift the hips back. Feeling the stretch in the hamstring of your front leg. Hold for a second or two, come back. Again, if you're not quite ready for the cat-cow, that's totally fine. You can just stay in this lunge stretch here. Nice work. Really, on the second round, moving as far as you can into these movements. So we really want to get to what's called end range, which just means it's like the limit of this movement. And when you push into that end range, that's where you really get the better mobility in your hips, which is what we want. All right, nice work. Okay, we're gonna move into our adductor or groin stretch again. So we're gonna come here, put our foot out to the side. This one, we're just gonna keep the same. There's not too much you can do to change, but again, you'll probably notice on the second round, you got a little bit more flexibility, mobility feels a little bit easier. And so what you want to do is really sink those hips back even further. So I'm noticing, I can really get back towards my heel on the second round, which I wasn't able to do on the first round, which is great. But it means we still want to push it into that end range. Again, we're feeling that stretch on the inside of our left leg, or the one that's stretched out here. Good. And remember, we're doing 30 seconds and then holding at end range. So this is when I talk about getting into the end range and holding. This is where we're really going to improve that hip mobility to take pressure off of our lower back. Nice work. All right, other side. Left knee down, right foot out. Same thing. We're going to spend the first 30 seconds sending our hips back. Just easing into the position. Nice work. And now we're going to hold, going as far as you can, really sinking into that position, keeping a straight spine, keeping your foot down. I just saw my foot came out a little bit, so it's a good reminder. Keep that foot down, really stretching the inside. Again, round two, you should have a little bit more range of motion. That's why I always love to do these 2 rounds. Nice work. All right, last one, pigeon pose. So, start in that high plank position, shifting the hips up, starting with our right leg. Again, we're bringing the knee to the middle, and we're holding. I'll start the timer. So again, really just moving around. You can move that foot up, trying to get the shin perpendicular with your arms. After you've found a good position, you can really sink into it here. Nice work. Again, this one is just going to be a hold, not as dynamic as the other two. You're just going to hold that position, really focusing on that external rotation. Again, you can kind of move your hips back and forth. Just find the best stretch for you. Good. All right. We're going to uncurl that back toe, shift up. Again, you can shake that hip out, shake that leg out, pretty intense stretch, and then move on to the left. Good. Again, bring that knee right into the middle of our 2 hands, sink the hips back. Just finding that stretch, bringing the foot up. Woo. Feel it right there. Good work. We're almost done. This is the last one. And you'll be good to go for the day. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. So there you have it. That is our 12-minute hip mobility routine for lower back pain. It's 3 simple movements repeated twice and really addresses all of the range of motion of your hip joint to help limit impact that goes through your spine. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Dr. Carl Baird. This is Solving Pain with Strength. Hey, it's Dr. Baird here. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page to catch all our videos designed to help you build the strength and confidence to live active, healthy, and happy lives. You won't find it anywhere else.